bit worried that Rab sees no evil, hears no evil at the moment, but...
What do you mean?
Well, you couldn't understand what Dal was saying, and you're not wearing your glasses. So
And he's blind and he's deaf right now. Those headphones must be terrible.
I'm fine. I just didn't wear my glasses because my eyes were hurting. Because I've done so much. I've worked really hard today.
Good for you.
So what are these pair of headphones, Rab? I haven't actually seen them before. So.
Oh, I've had these headphones for months.
Joe, have you seen them before?
I've worn them in the videos.
Don't know.
I don't think he
play
has.
back the tapes.
These are Logitech.
See, you've never had Logitech headphones in your life. You've had Sony
Logitech
ones. You've had Sony XM4s or something like that, and Sony in-ears.
Look at the G. Look at the G.
Look at the G.
Any colour. Great.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, please.
If you want to sponsor us, feel free.
Please, yeah.
Oh my.
Anyway, here's our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legend. No, I've always had Logitech.
Yeah, but I've literally never seen you with these headphones. You come out with new headphones like every couple of weeks.
It's because I'm in like night mode, so I'm not overexposed. But I do have a lot of headphones. I need to start getting rid of some or something. But yeah.
Fresh trim as well, you said, right?
I bought these because I was playing a lot of CS:GO and then just suddenly stopped.
I knew it. It's to just stop the baby, like you hearing the baby when she's around.
Yes. It's not.
Sleeping
yeah, it's the other way around. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I could really hear the footsteps. What were you asking me then? Did you ask me something before that?
No.
No. All right.
Are you okay?
You're losing it.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Maybe it's your Logitech headphones.
Maybe it's my Logitech.
Can you actually hear our thoughts? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. I really want a sandwich.
Harriet walks in.
Yeah. For some reason, I just made you the sandwich. No, yeah. All going all well.
Let's crack on because I know Joe's itching in a bit. I can see his leg twitching.
I've got editing to go.
He's always got something else to do.
Right. Welcome to another episode of the SpilltheTeaCG podcast. Jesus Christ!
Try again.
SpilltheTeaCG podcast with myself, Alex, Joe, and Rab. Well, Benjamin is joining me once again, as always. We're gonna have our usual ramble. Just try and figure out what we've all been up to this past week since our last episode. We'll have a little look what else happened over the past weekends because there was a lot of big tournaments going on. And then we'll start looking forward to a very eventful tournament that's coming up for both myself and Joe. And maybe we'll do a bit of a tier list similar to what we done last time because it was a lot of fun and we like debating and shouting at each other. And we'd love to find out where Rab's going to put Roaring Moon this time. So, boys, how we been? How was the last week for everyone?
Well, we all met up in the flesh at the weekend, didn't we? We were all in Birmingham and we were testing the waters for the Lorcana event. We're all very much rookies, I think it's fair to say. Alex, was this your first ever Lorcana tournament?
I mean, I think I said this to pretty much every opponent I played. I had played 6 games prior to the tournament starting. All against you, Joe.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious in itself. And then I got the odd look when I was at one point with like 2 wins in my rounds. Yeah. And they were like,
is he a prodigy?
How many games? what is he doing here?
He's the listener guy.
But yeah, hilarious. Yourself, Ben, you lied to us saying you were going to stay with us and then ditched us in the last minute.
No, it's just because I'm highly unorganized. I was going to stay and then found out that I'd paid for a... I didn't find out. Somebody had reminded me that I actually was staying with them. So,
where did you find out again, Rab? I mean, it was at this event that me and Joe won.
It was at this baby shower that only females were going to.
Okay. You invited just women to your baby shower, just your male.
No. I was only there for about an hour. It was great. I wasn't invited either. I'm just as much of a victim here as you.
We're all victims here.
Yeah.
Can't believe he's doing it.
But Rab, you played a bit of Lorcana, right? You started at the beginning and then dipped and then came back for this just because it was Birmingham, right?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So I started at base set, got really into it, multiple booster boxes, just slamming it out at locals, and got really kind of engrossed into the kind of meta and how the game works, and also future news and all that kind of stuff, getting myself ready for future stuff. But then casting started, the season started,
there was no official, there was no tournament structure at all, right?
No OB for a while.
It makes a huge difference as well. Yeah, I knew they were coming, but being that it was Ravensburger and they've never really made a big, large scale competitive TCG before. Everybody was kind of like, oh, do I dip my whole foot in, or do I just do my little pinky? You know, it was.
Did you both play Pixelborn?
No.
So I did. So I really got into Pixelborn again when base set came out, the first chapter. But then when Pokemon I got engrossed in, the season and casting and all that kind of stuff. I remember my first casting job back, I was like, oh my god, I've played so much Lorcana that I've not forgotten how to play Pokemon, but I just had to kind of go, okay, I need to get away from Lorcana for a bit. I need to get back into Pokemon because my brain doesn't work.
Is that why you're still stuck with Snorlax? Is that
my
why
brain can't function playing two hobbies? It's there's no chance. So yeah. Yeah, and then I got back into it as soon as Birmingham was announced, really. I just grabbed a ticket and then
borrowed a deck for that. Yeah.
We all grabbed a ticket. I almost forgot that I booked the ticket.
That was on my Apple Wallet for like months.
I was scrolling deep into the Neverlands of my emails to try and find the ticket.
Yeah.
But
I literally played one tournament before Birmingham, and that was just a little set champs in the previous set as well. So it was new for all of us, really. Yeah. And I think it was good.
Top four? You got the promo.
I did walk away with my promo, which was nice.
Yeah.
I just played the same deck. I played Ruby Amethyst for anyone who knows about Lorcana, and it's just like a pretty good mid-range deck, and made a few tweaks to it. I went 207 on the day. Come on! Literally could not be beaten by anyone. But I played against so many decks that I'd never played against before, so a lot of them were like discovery missions, game one, lose, and then figure out what their deck does and actually have a better time of like just mulligan correctly and play differently. And as we know, like one of our only gripes is we're still beginners, so I guess as you get better at the game, you'd find more ways to win going second, but it does feel like the going first advantage is large because you just have all the aggression at your disposal. It feels like for a number of decks, so the best of two structure is interesting for a game like that. It probably, I've already heard rumors that like the next sets are going to bring in cards that do extra effects or bonuses or are cheaper when you go second, which is important because I think the game needs that balance. But I thoroughly enjoyed my time. I had no expectations of doing well at all, obviously, and really good opponents. No judge queries at all. Everything was just sorted between us, clear communication between everyone. It feels like Lorcana's no one's first game from the players that I played against, at least. Maybe it's a different experience for you guys. It's all just like people have come from Magic or come from Pokemon or this, that, and the other. A huge amount of judges were from Pokemon, so it was bizarre to hear the Tannoy and see familiar faces everywhere. And we've done the NEC before for Pokemon, right? So we know what the venue was like as well. Very convenient for us. So I really, really enjoyed the experience, and I got a Rapunzel promo as well for my efforts, which was a nice little bonus, and something I definitely think is lacking in Pokemon, really, is that promo thing. But to be fair, it did make the end of the day an hour longer because everyone had to queue for them.
That was quite a painful experience. I mean, other than that, I echo the whole sentiment that it was actually quite a fun event. I think. But me and Ben played a very similar deck. I changed 2 cards just because I got given 2 cards in a random booster. Just because I chucked in 2 Sven into my hyper aggro deck, and it won me some games, so I was pretty pleased. It paid off. But I mean, I call it. I only know it as hyper aggro. I barely know the actual color type names. If anyone followed my Twitter, I was just explaining what I was facing up against. I would call it purple brooms or any random things that were just popping up. But yeah, it was good fun. I had to play something like Hyper Aggro. What is it? Amber Amethyst? Is that
Amber
what
played Amethyst?
Yeah. Because it meant I didn't actually have to interact with my opponent's board. Really?
Yeah, that's right.
And that kind of echoes the sentiment that Joe said, that going first is so incredibly overpowered. despite me regularly not tying, like winning when I go first and losing when I don't, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a thoroughly enjoyable tournament. I mean, it's not best of two. It's like rounds of 2 games, because each player gets to go first, right?
I was still calling it best of 2, but like
which is incorrect, Ben.
Yeah, other people were saying you play 2 games. That's it. Really.
But it meant like with Highbrow Grow, you finished the games in like 20 minutes. I think Ben, you finished in like 8 minutes.
It was so much fun. Yeah, I mean, my games were finished in like 9 minutes. It was so fun.
But then that's what made it really difficult for me, because then I'd be waiting around, and unfortunately there was quite a bit of time between rounds, just because I think maybe new systems and new things that people had to kind of get used to, especially the judges and stuff. It's the first UK big tournament, right? Big Lorcana event, so it's there were teething things just as expected. But that was my only sort of not negative.
And obviously you feel it more than anyone else, because you're always the 10th, like upper percentile of finishing first anyway. I mean, I had time to watch football on my phone, but
we watched a Man United game, didn't we?
Well,
don't forget.
We don't want to talk about that. Anyway, Ben, how was it for you?
No, I really enjoyed it. I mean, playing before as well, it was a case of not discovery, but just kind of refreshing my mind as to how the game works, and of course seeing new cards come into the format and seeing archetypes that existed in the first chapter just be completely obliterated. So I used to play Ward, which was kind of a non-challenge, evasive, like you can't hit me, gutted kind of deal. A bit of a wall stall type deck, but that's completely irrelevant.
Still found a way to play stall.
It's still completely irrelevant now.
I played against one,
and then so I played the same as you do. So I played Amethyst, Amber, Hyper Aggro. Going into the tournament, I felt quite confident, just with those kind of bad matchups being Amethyst and Steel. Then just faced 6 Steel and two Madam Mim Elephant, which I didn't know existed before the tournament, which I probably should have, doing at least a minute of revision. So I got completely nailed for that. But I really enjoyed it. I was quite hesitant about the 2-game thing. I thought I was going to get a lot of draws, because going first naturally with Hyper Aggro is really beneficial, just because it is so easily counterable if you have those right cards, and if your opponent knows what you're playing, they're just gonna aggressively mulligan into those cards, and then you lose. But I actually surprisingly enjoyed it. I found it quite refreshing, only because the games were guaranteed to finish, especially for myself. Which was really nice feeling. It obviously wouldn't happen anytime soon, or any sort of like review of the situation with best of 3 with Pokemon, but I think why I found it so refreshing was the fact, you go in with that kind of mindset into Pokemon of, most games are going to be 2 games, they're not going to be 3, especially with some of the decks that are in the format these days. Maybe not the 2 prizes, but especially with like Dragapult or Gardevoir or Stall or whatever, you're definitely not playing 3 games. So it was quite nice actually playing in that structure. But I ended up investing as soon as the tournament finished. I bought a deck, obviously.
So you're gonna be back at League playing Lorcana now.
So I booked 3 challenges for next month.
See, I can't even.
Every weekend you're going away.
So no, not every weekend. So there was one weekend where I was like, right, if the baby's not born by that month, I won't go. If the baby's not born by the 26th, I won't go. But if it is, I'm already making.
Isn't that worse? Shouldn't you have been there? Shouldn't you be there? More importantly, once it's here.
I like that you are valuing playing Hyper Aggro at League more than time with your newborn child.
I'm already bargaining.
And that's premeditated as well.
No.
You've already made the evaluation and thought, yes.
No, it's. I mean, I'm already bargaining with Harriet. I'm already like, look, I'll go to this one tournament, but guaranteed.
But then I'll be here for the baby.
Full night of sleep guaranteed. You get that coupon.
You can't guarantee that. You just can't guarantee that.
I actually can't wait. So we're doing a pod, and Rab is like the most depressed, very tired human being
I'll be fine.
He's going to hear this like background noise of a baby crying, and he's going to
Yeah.
shudder in his seat.
Yeah.
Fine. I don't know what you guys are.
He's going to move the pod on. The pod is going to be cut down half an hour every week.
He's just going to leave.
Post-baby.
It's just going to be me and you,
Sat in the
Joe.
chair, sat in the
Yeah.
chair like this.
He's like,
Alright,
sorry guys, I've got to deal with.
I've got to deal with that baby.
Not even explaining yourself, just and then
that
off.
baby's so selfish. No. Yeah. Overall, though, good weekend. In conclusion, very very happy.
It's a shame because I don't think there's any more in Europe this season. Like the Lorcana season, nothing like Pokemon. We're just at the beginning of the new season, but Lorcana's like towards the end, I think. So
yeah, so they have.
Tamao mentioned there was the
there's
Europe.
qualifiers
That's
now, right?
Yeah, they have their last chance qualifier in Disneyland
Yeah.
Paris, and then I think it maybe even the next day they have the Invitational.
Yeah, I think that's what Tamao had mentioned.
And then the Invitational is for Worlds. I'm pretty confident it's for Worlds then. And then that's when you get into like the kind of free trip to.
Which is a shame for us because we're like, oh hey, we had a great experience. Where else can we do it? Oh, you can't.
Other than challenges.
But we can do set challenges.
I can't find them. I don't know how to book myself into them. The local
Yeah.
store ignores
I'm
my
relying
emails.
on other people.
It's
Yeah.
Very sad.
Well, if you need a place to stay, we got like 4 places around us. So
I'm not looking after your baby for you.
He's already employing you. Just take the baby for a bit.
I'll pay for your ticket.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, Lorcana, we kind of already touched on it. The footy happened over the weekend, of course. FPL continues for us. Joe's finally been able to celebrate a weekend.
Well, not even celebrate, just like not have a panic attack.
Survive.
Survive, yeah.
Survive a week.
Where am I at now? I'm still in a terrible. Yeah, I'm like 3.5 million. It's pointless. I've got so much climbing to do.
Have you now decided to take over Father Bernard's team yet?
No, he won't give it back.
He won't.
He's above me. He's above me.
If anyone doesn't know, this is
copyrighted
Joe's second team that he's done.
The subs that I put in as well. I put in Esri Conso, who scored, and I put in Burmo, who scored,
That's
and now
right,
everyone wants Burmo. So he's already made 0.2 on Burmo.
Yeah,
incredible.
So he's like his team's to the moon. And it's still got it's still got John McGinn, so and he's still above me. So yeah,
is he not
that's the sort of level.
This weekend?
No, he's in a good spot because he's got like enough. Well, we have to discuss it on Friday, but I don't think he will probably want to pull the trigger because he doesn't know the value of it. Every week he said, "Shall I bench boost or wildcard?" I'm like, no.
Have they released any information on that extra?
We don't know yet. It's in Jan, I think.
Is it Jan?
We get it after
the January transfer window.
Yeah, I think it's either after January transfer window or it's like around the Christmas break. But yeah, we still don't know what it is. It's still a secret.
Yeah. I've taken the plunge on the wild card this week.
You're striking while the iron's hot, aren't you? Because you're in top
actioned
100 something, aren't you?
I've made a
100k.
I'm top 150. I think I'm 1-4 something.
Rubbing it in again.
It's a very good start.
I've made a huge, 2 gambles I think this week. I've put in Bernardo Silva.
Is it not too early to be doing a wild card? Like at least do it like Friday.
Well, the experts
you get some team news.
Well, the thing is, Arsenal.
You can gain value.
Week, right?
You can gain value during the week, though, right? You can
right.
The wild card it's still infinite until the deadline.
That's right.
So you could get players in like Burmo, gain their price rise, and then take him out. Yeah.
And that's,
so
you
should know at the start of the game,
the
week to then hit wildcard. Basically, throw away anyone who's going to reduce in value or potentially reduce in value. So like anyone who got injured or whatever else, you chuck, and you get any placeholder players who you think might go up in price because you can randomly get 0.1 out of it and just frog.
Ben, it says you're outside the 150,000.
Well, I'm on.
He's rounded up, has he?
I've rounded up to 140.
It doesn't matter.
I've the choice for me was either Bernardo Silva, Solanke, or Nicholas Jackson, Semenyo. And I didn't, because Chelsea always play when they want to play rather than a consistent. I've gone the other way around.
I think
it's
Jackson's
kind of similar
a
with
great
Tottenham,
pick
but
right now.
How expensive is Jackson?
7.7.
That's way too expensive.
That is way too expensive because you could get Chris Wood for that. He's not even on penalties and he's 7.7.
I mean, Chris Wood's like 6.1 or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly.
6.1.
That's what I'm saying.
I brought him in. I brought him in last week.
Chelsea fixtures are bung as well. You don't want Chelsea.
Yeah. Well, at least Solanke always starts, and plus, like Tottenham are always going to score goals, right? Especially with their fixtures coming up. But
how many Arsenal are you having? Are you
3.
tripling?
3, yeah. I've gone triple
Keeper
Arsenal
Gabriel
to,
Saka.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
And I've gone.
I've had Gabriel Saka this whole time. Gabriel's been benched for the last 2 weeks. So.
I traded out Gabriel for Robertson 2 weeks ago, and I thoroughly regret it. Even though Robertson came back last week. But,
right, well, we'll keep tabs on your top 151,000 position
We'll have to get a snapshot
as we go. What else was exciting over the weekend? We had the Champions League.
Sure did.
Over in Japan, the first event of their season. And they ran it back in the finals, if I'm not mistaken, right? Was it run back?
I think so, yeah.
I've
so
got
it was
the,
Lugia versus Raging Bolt.
Lugia Raging Bolt, yeah. I've got the top 16 in front of me now. If you want me to rattle it off, or do you want to?
Feel free.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Top 16, 2 Iron Thorns, 1 Zard Pidgeot, Lugia, 2 Gardevoir, Dragapult, which I'm guessing is not Dragapult Pidgeot. It's just plain straight Dragapult.
That's the one list we don't have.
Yeah,
but I know Shintaro played a really interesting Dragapult Pokestop Dusknoir deck.
Okay.
So it might be something like that. We don't know yet.
And then 1 more Lugia. So 2 Lugias in top 16 as well as 2 Iron Thorns and 2 Gardevoir. Then we go into top 8. Dragapult Pidgeot with Regidrago, Raging Bolt, and a Palkia Noctowl. Top 4 then we have Regidrago and Zard Pidgeot, and then finalist Lugia Archeops, and then of course with the winner being Raging Bolt.
It was Lugia that took the dub last time, right?
Yes, so it's flip-flopped this time around.
That's right.
Yeah, so, I mean, really interesting. I mean, is it as impactful as what I'd expected? I mean, it's only really the Palkia, which is probably the only new old deck that's kind of popped in and taken a spot.
It's new enough, I'd say. It's new enough.
Yeah,
basically, all its numbers change and its engine changes, right?
True, very true, very true. I guess before we actually look at the decks themselves, were there any interesting players that have actually performed at the last Champions League that were in the I don't know, Joe, if you've looked at that at all.
Yeah, Shizuya Yamamoto is a cracked player. Already won a Champions League, top 8 of the Champions League, and then got top 4 with Charizard. So I think he's the standout player from the quick look that I had just from Limitless. A few other like decent league finishers in the past as well, and like Players Cup players in here as well, which is interesting from the online era. So yeah, definitely some notable players in here. But obviously it's a tip of the iceberg from what we can see from all of their results, because we don't have all the access, but Limitless still has a good catalogue of all the Champions Leagues over the last few years, so that was cool to see. But Yamamoto seems like a crazy player, to be fair.
Just under 5,000 players as well.
This one, yeah.
4,000 best of 4,900 players in attendance, which is I didn't even know where you could hold that type of event in Europe, let alone Japan. But yeah, it seemed like an absolutely crazy event.
We had 2,000 for Lorcana, right?
We did.
That was like one little hall.
Yeah. It's just Pokemon is about that. Like, our ones are 5,000 people because we've got 3 games going on simultaneously, right? So it's what you'd expect, but I guess they just have to separate tournaments from VG and TCG.
In my head, I'm thinking 5,000 Masters TCG. So how many juniors and seniors did you get? And how many of course VG again did you get? Like you could.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a massive haul, right? Or multiple hauls. They could just have like Pokemon TCG one spot, VG in another. Take over the XL again as an example. When it had one
both sides.
VG one side and TCG the other. And go somewhere.
That'd be awesome.
Sorry, go.
That'd be pretty good.
Right, but the actual decks themselves. Raging Bolt, if I'm not mistaken, didn't have any new cards. Had Briar.
One Briar.
One Briar.
The top 8 list didn't play Briar, but the winning list did. And it was Heavy Night Stretcher, which seems to be a wave. Like, everyone's just trying Heavy Night Stretcher in anything they Pokestop with, which is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? with the Night Stretcher.
It's a good combo. I mean, I personally still like an amount of Ultra Ball in the deck, but Night Stretcher is a very versatile card.
Yeah. It's the energy for me. I mean, gives you that one more energy. I know you got superior energy retrieval and energy retrieval.
That's the thing. They've kind of yoinked space, right? The Night Stretcher steals space by being everything at once.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really like it.
Anyone actually giving it a go in terms of that kind of engine rather than?
Yeah, I've jammed a few games with it. It seems fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
I think
fine. That normally means bad.
Yeah, I think energy retrieval is too important to play just one of, really.
Yeah.
So I think like a reduced Night Stretcher count is still very valid, but you probably do need to do some juggling of stuff. Like this list found the space for Vacuum, for example, as well, which is like a really nice card in the deck. It's playing Maximum Ogre and Bolts because it leans into the Night Stretcher part. So like the list is built in a way to make that a better combination of cards when you could just like wiggle in some Ultra Ball and a few other things like higher, just regular retrieval.
Although I hate the one Briar in this, for some reason.
Why do you hate it?
For me it's screaming, how are you going to hit it when you want to? But like, I think looking at the deck, I can see the combination that they're going with. They're going Palpad then into
Palpad gear,
right? But it can't be. Is it that consistent that it finds it every
I mean, you don't have to Briar many matchups, right? It's a matchup card. I think Briar is almost always in the bin.
Yeah.
But against Charizard, it seems important. Even if you're on even prizes, it stops them Radzarding you, right? Or like it gives you an out to them Radzarding you. Or it lets you just hit for one prize and say, well, I'm committed down this path. I hope that they have to have a Charizard EX in play by the time I'm at the late game.
I guess compared to Regidrago without energy switch, you need to have an alternate game plan than Teal Mask Ogopon, right?
What do you mean?
Well, you won't be able to pull up a fully fledged Teal Mask Ogopon with this, right? If it had no energy attached.
You have to float an energy all the time. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You need it to be.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's in like 60% of the bolts in the Japanese format, and I think it's a respect Zard card rather than like a coming up in every situation card. Yeah. I also think it's really good for Guardi, actually. With the Vacuum and the Briar, I think you should be pretty favoured into Guardi with that list as well, which is kind of interesting.
So does
hello.
Yeah, hello. So does Briar completely change Raging Bolt from...
No, it's just another tool in its kit, right?
Yeah, it just gives it an extra way of maneuvering.
I feel like there were games that I would like meme on Raging Bolt because they'd take one and I'm like, I have 3 turns. I'm always winning in 3 turns now. But like now it feels like they can take one and you're actually still sweating the game out and being like, okay, I still have to play really clean to win here.
Because the meme is that Raging Bolt's like the kind of brainless archetype, right?
Yeah.
How dare you?
I feel like it's just a sequence well deck, which is fine, right?
Yeah. I like
it. Briar adds some complexity. Yeah, Briar adds complexity to the deck for sure.
And I think there's a real lack of single prize Pokemon as well, which I think comes on to how strong all of those kind of 2 prize decks are. Raging Bolt, Miraidon, Roaring Moon. I think it capitalizes on that a lot.
Sure.
So
yeah, I mean, looking down the list, there's no pure 1 prize deck, is there?
Yeah, maybe it's a stronger pick than I'm probably giving it credit for.
The only decks I kind
of I've been slagging it off for ages, but it is harder to play against now.
We'll continue going into it, I'm sure, as we hit our tier list shortly. Lugia didn't have many changes, stuck with a fairly thick lines of Minchinos and Cinchinos.
Yeah, both lists had Cinchino. The other list was a 2-2. Oh, sorry, it was a 3-3. The finalist list was 3-2 Cinchino with 2 Lumineon V, Iron Hands, Fez, and Ursaluna. Yeah. No Weirdo, which is kind of interesting. Chose Thornton instead.
I think one of them was playing it. One of
I
them
played
was from the
Countercatcher.
Weird
Yeah, the other list has Weird Ear, yeah. But the finalist list is weird, man. The Copium Countercatcher, like, don't know how you find it.
Yeah.
And you're meant to be a proactive deck, I feel like, in so many matchups.
Thornton.
Thornton, crazy.
Shizuya Yamamoto, as you mentioned, played Charizard, the deck that's everyone's like is sparking fear in a lot of people's eyes at the moment with the way Briar and Dusclops, Dusknoirs pop off when they need to. But this is kind of a pretty good list and typical of what we see a lot of nowadays, right? It's got a mist energy, which is kind of cute.
Yeah, I think I like Mist more and more if you respect Dragapult and even just some Regidrago still in the format. I feel like that's good. I've been playing DT for a while, but I can see why Mist is good. A lot of both the Charizards in top 16 play Devo actually, which is kind of interesting. This list is quite supporter heavy, seeing 3 Iono and Roxanne. I don't think we've seen that in many Western lists at all. I think most people land on like 2 Iono and Stamp at most, really. Obviously, this is playing Prime Catcher, so maybe that's partly why.
Yeah, that's just the kind of soft
counterbalance.
Change,
yeah.
I feel like if I'm playing Briar, I'm always picking Prime Catcher.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I get.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah. If you're not playing Prime, you're playing 2 Countercatcher, right? That's the only difference. And Briar lines up with Countercatcher perfectly because you're looking to finish on 3. So your opponents, and they have to be at 2, right? So naturally, Countercatcher works.
I really like that one Jamming Tower, actually. That's pretty cool.
I still can't figure that one out too much. Like, I feel like Collapsed is busted, and I feel like Sinnoh is necessary. I don't understand the jamming too much. If you're already playing Mist to protect you a bit against Devo, I'm not certain what jamming's here for. To like, that's that incredible. Other than like Bravery Charm stopping and like, I don't know.
This is the guy who's come first, 6th, and 3rd at Champions League.
I'm not. I'm just saying I don't understand it. I'm sure there are better reasons.
I think maybe he was scared of Bravery Charm in Bolt.
I don't know.
Because it is a decision. It is whether it's Collapsed or Jamming Tower, right? But I think
Sinnoh is really popular.
It's quite a nice card anyway. I mean, with Collapse, you go down to 4, especially if you're playing against something like Area 0 Underdepths, right?
Yeah,
it's only 1 less if you were able to just get a Jamming Tower out, and you're probably then still stopping quite a lot of useful cards.
I mean, most of the time you're collapsing to get rid of Fish or Rotom, though, right?
Yeah, of course, but
I think this is
there's probably little things that we just.
It's just funny that like I'm not against the card, but Rab was like he loved it, and
this is
I need a reason why.
I mean, this is. I think it's just Bravery Charm, right? But I think this is like the aggression Zard. I think this is like no defense, just kind of go for it. I'm winning. I say I'm winning. That's stupid, but like
he was winning.
He was winning.
Loads.
He was winning. But Prime Catcher,
anyone know what he lost to?
Even Thornton. I mean, Thornton we haven't even mentioned.
Thornton's just a good card, I think.
Thornton's pretty standard in Charizard at this point.
Yeah.
It's just so good with Dusknoir.
Just very quickly touching on a few of the others. I mean, pretty bog standard Regidragos, as we kind of expected and how we've spoken about it before.
I think both Dragos are only playing 2 rods. That's the only thing that's like interesting, I think, rather than playing like Night Stretcher or Superior.
Jamming Tower in both of them.
Yeah.
One doesn't play Sinnoh, so it doesn't have an out to, have not much of a counter against Lugia.
Yeah, that's about it.
The other last 2 in the top 8 that's at least kind of interesting is, of course, again, Dragapult's had an uptick in general sort of play that we've seen anyway because of Sparkling Crystal.
I think this list is busted as well. I really like his list. I think
what about it do you like?
I love HQ because you have to respect Bolt. And I think it's correct to just play Zam and no Briar Dusknoir package in this deck because I think you need, like, you're always quick searching for other pieces, and I felt like with Zard, because it's so self-sufficient, you can quick search for the Briar combo, whereas in this list it never felt like I could, even with Recon Directives drawing me here and Fez there. So I really like the reduced, just Pidgeot and Alakazam is like enough to make the deck strong. I was tinkering with Gravity Stone, but I can see why they're not playing it. But yeah, I really like this list. I think this is a very solid baseline for Dragapult. It's like a just draw good list, which is pretty good, I think.
agreed. We get to see a nice new card in there as well, Crispin. Allowing you to just
Crispin's
again
great.
help accelerate that energy onto your Dragapults where necessary as well. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I guess we touch on this one last because it's the most out there of the top 8 decks. The Palkia V-Star coming back in full force with Area Zero on the depths. And we'll probably touch on it in the tier list as well, but very unique engine, the 2/2 Noctowls, 2/2 the barrels, Squovet, Articuno, there's a lot of pieces in there, Joe.
There is a lot going on. I feel like most of the time we see thicker Noctowl because there are situations where you need the full Force Search to get a good combo turn 2 turn. And typically it's like a reduced Bibarel count, but the double Bibarel and Squovet is a statement, right? That he just wants to keep cycling throughout the game and just constantly see. I'm playing Palkia this weekend and I have Bibarel in my list, but I haven't lent this heavily into the deck, and I haven't considered Articuno either. For the longest time I've been trying just Grass Energy as like a one hit KO option with Iron Leaves into Zard. But the Articuno is more versatile and it also helps Pult, so that's kind of interesting. And I suppose it could help Lugia as well to an extent, but they have Jets, so I don't know how good that actually is. But basically things that you can't reach on, you can just have like I guess I'm paralyzing and let's see what your route is sort of situation. Because even just like Churro in the stage 2s is really annoying.
I'm just seeing
the Cat Patrol.
Cap. Just
I think the Palpad's really weird in the list as well. I feel like Palpad's a card that looks odd in the deck.
I think it is.
Briar as well.
I think I like Palpad in this. I think if I'm playing Noctowl, I think Palpad's always an option for me.
I mean, it's only like 2/2 Noctowl though.
I feel like you don't.
I mean, it's only 2/2, sure. Like, yeah.
I just don't think there's actually. Well, first of all, there's not many turns in games, and secondly, like Briar's always one use. You're already playing Countercatcher, Prime, and 2 boss, so I don't know if you ever need another boss.
Someone's I feel like you're worried about the 2-rows, big boy Barrel getting stuck in the active.
Yeah, maybe Squovet Churro is just your win to control.
Right, yeah.
But again, you're playing 3 switch outs without the Palpad and cancelling Clone, and you have answers to Mimikyu and Cornerstone with Terrapagos. So I feel like you already have a ton of answers. The Palpad feels like wasted space. This is like a 5-line list, right? So there's obviously a ton of one-offs, and that leans into the Noctowl, but as someone who's played a bunch of this deck, I really want to strip back some pieces. But there are some really cool elements of it. Like, Briar into the deck gives it so many angles of attack, which is cool.
There's definitely a lot of cards I was like, this is what I would want to try.
I'm only thinking because there is a discard element to the deck for Bibarel. I know it's got the Squovet, but 4 Ultra Ball, 2 Earthen Vessel, I think is enough to warrant the Palpad being in, because if you're forced to boss twice in a game,
but you've got Prime and Countercatcher as well, bro.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
It's got 4 Gust. Yeah, that's something.
Yeah. It's 4 Gust plus Pad. That's a lot, I think. I've had times where I've played 3 total, and that's felt light. So I'm back up to 4, but I definitely never feel like I need Pad.
Right.
And I'm just surprised there's no Poffin and there's only 1 Fan Rotom. That's my only thing. I feel like Poffin and second Fan Rotom is really good. Sorry,
you talk too much. Nah, I'm joking. You're obviously very opinionated because you're going to play. Well,
I've played the deck a bunch, but I'm surprised that with double Bidoof, double Hoot Hoot, and only 1 fan that there's no Poffins in here just for an Irida search.
I was going to say that as well, just because it's an easy way to fill the board. I mean, you got Squovet as option as well.
Yeah,
cute.
I think that's why I always felt more comfortable playing the pure. I say pure Terrapagos, just straight Terrapagos with the with.
How have you ended there?
What's it called?
The cat was in the hallway a moment ago.
Where's the cat? Oh, the cat's somewhere.
Somewhere. Those headphones really do block out all the noise, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. I mean, she's quiet anyway. She's
quiet as a.
Yeah, right. Let's crack on because we're 40 minutes. We're almost 40 minutes in, and I feel like it's time to. We've probably spoken about a lot of these decks already, and we'll probably touch on it again. I've still got Ben's video in my background of him going with the noises.
Oh yeah, have you seen that?
Just giggling with stuff. I just see him just laughing. But anyway, Ben, have you got the tier list?
I do. Yeah, let me get it open now.
We're obviously going to debate many cards and many decks going through this. We'll try and keep it pretty succinct, I think, where we can.
Yeah.
Joe, you might have done one quite recently if I have.
Only yesterday.
Yesterday, was it?
I'm certain
just copy that in English, I
that
think.
some of my hot takes will be debated, and this will be a different tier list. So.
I can't wait to see what I want to know what your hot takes are. That just shows I don't watch your videos.
Can't believe
I haven't
it.
watched your video yet.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh yeah.
Right, Ben, you're gonna take the lead on this since you've got.
Yeah.
The control.
So the first one we have is Charizard Pidgeot, which I feel is.
Are we just
already-
going down the list of most played as well? I have no idea how this works.
I don't think we'll
Are
have
you gonna randomize it up for us?
No. This. Oh yeah. No, that makes sense. No, this is most played. It's most played to least. It's kind
Trainer
of
Hill is
ranked
already
like-
most to least.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's ranked like that automatically. Charizard
I mean,
Pidgeot.
you can go wild and mix up the order. You know?
Yeah, I will.
You
I
have
will.
pa- you
You
have
know
the
what? I will
power.
after this one. But I'm going to stick to my guns and pick Charizard Pidgeot for the first one. I feel like it's already a strong archetype going into this tournament, but I feel like with more testing with these subtleties in Briar and Dusknoir, I think people are only going to get more comfortable with the deck and how it runs. I think it's such a busted combo that I could easily place this either S tier, or if we're going to go with no S tier, just kind of A tier. I'd be happy with that as well. But
Are we going no S tier because we don't quite know yet? Like, how
I mean,
much
I'm
you
happy
feel
putting
about
It's
that.
up
one
to you
S tier.
guys.
I'm happy putting Zard S tier, to be honest.
I mean, but I think I agree. It's an at least A tier. The deck just seems.
Do you think it's the
incredibly
strongest
powerful.
deck?
I do, yeah. By far.
Because I still think it's like a solved, I don't know, 54. No, maybe not 54, but a strong
Higher.
50 plus. Yeah, well, exactly right. I was just gonna say, like, using the Dust Noirs properly. That's already like 5-6 cards that you're kind of having to jam in, and then you're just kind of having to do little tweaks here to an already very viable archetype that's been around for a while now. So it's at least A, and as we go through, I'm sure we can like shift and
yeah,
a couple of
that's
decks if we suddenly do think Charizard's just like straight up better than, I don't know, Regidrago or something like that.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Any last sentences or thoughts from you, Joe, on Charizard?
My main issue with Zard is that I don't think there's many like favourables on paper. It's just that it takes games away from people with good play and good enough draw that you can just say like, well, I'm taking 4 and that's the game, shake my hand. So it has the power behind it. But I think the deck is quite greedy right now, and I think you do lose turn 2 to a lot of decks.
Best A spec in it right now?
I would play Hero's Cape.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's the A spec that got all the rage maybe before the whole Twitter debate of it being like overpowered and bro and stuff.
Yeah. I think
And,
Raging
I mean,
Bolt
Ben
will be
said-
popular, and I think Regidrago should be popular, so I would play Hero's Cape.
I mean, yeah, because like I said, Ben said anything with a Briar in it, he'd play something like Prime Catcher to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, interesting. Benjamin, on you.
Next one, let's go with Iron Thorns. Let's really.
Hello.
Really kick
Don't make me
the
do
bones
this
out.
again.
Iron
It's
Thorns.
still
where do we
it's
see
still
it?
built, boys. It's still
Do we
built.
still see it as a bit of a? Well, you've still got to play listed up, so I'm guessing you're sticking this in A tier, but I'm sure.
I don't know if it just gets caught out by a few decks having to have answers for it or a way of dealing with it, because you still have decks like Regidrago who still has like Cancelling Cologne and a few other things that can maybe like at least start pressurizing Iron Thorns. And I think from those top 16 lists, they haven't really changed much either. They're very like catered to what it was for Worlds. Which is fair enough. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You get Thorns down and you hammer some stuff away. You catcher and take out Pokemon with energy on it. Maneuver where you can. Maybe it's slept on. I don't know. It's probably got a bit more eyes on it now because it's done well in Japan. But then people think, oh, it's not quite the meta we have over here. It's unfortunately dragged itself up my list in terms of what I would actually consider for this weekend.
I think it's very reasonable as well.
Yeah.
It gains a new bad matchup in Dragapult Pidgeots,
Yes, well,
but I think
faced
everything
one at
else is
Worlds.
pretty good.
I faced one at
Yeah.
Worlds and it was awful. I
Yes,
was
that's
this
a
close.
tough matchup. And they have Crystal now, which makes it harder, right? So you can't hammer cheese your way out as much. Obviously, you can play Vacuum as well. But yeah, I think it's actually fine into the other top decks. Like boasting a really good Lugia, which got second. It can fight into Bolt quite comfortably. It can flip the coins into the Charizard and the Regidrago, be it catchers or hammers or both. So yeah, I actually think it's a really respectable play. I would put it low A or high B.
I was just going through some of the meta-analysis there on Trainer Hill. Yes, it does have its horrific matchups in Dragapult. I guess my only worry in that would be Dragapult has had such an uptick with the new set.
I don't know how... Well, yeah, I don't know how confident people are on Dragapult.
I mean, people are only... Okay.
Bolt's not favourable,
Let me rephrase that then. People are only going to... Dragapult's only going to go up in representation. It's not going to
Yeah, but like, comparing it to like... like Baltimore, for example, it's not really different to like the wave of Ancient Box turning up or something, right? You probably still have to dodge these matchups as Iron Thorns, but I think you can definitely day 2 with the deck.
Yeah,
I mean, if you say what like, so I don't think
I don't think Dragapult gets above like 12% in play rate.
And then Raging Bolt's also quite big as well, though.
Yeah, Bolt is probably going to be over.
They do need to pop off with their Sardas and just make sure they can chain them and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's quite scary when you're a Thorns player.
Yeah, it can be scary when they're in the flow.
It can be scary when they don't have to depend on.
So you're probably dodging like 20% at least of the
yeah,
which I guess isn't that bad, but it's I'd
maybe high B then.
I think it's a massive threat.
It can be a good meta pick, and if you hit the right matchups, you will.
I wouldn't be shocked to see it actually top cut.
Do you like it more or less than Lax?
Less.
Are we going into Lax now, I guess?
We can go into Lax.
I guess I'm just talking about a dodge and weave deck, right? I feel like I would prefer probably to play Thorns, I would say.
Okay.
Is that just because you would prefer to be attacking and announcing Volt Cyclone?
Well, yeah, there is that, but I also think that Snorlax has
getting a
less...
dagger to his heart right now.
Well, I mean, Snorlax also has 70-30s, right?
Yeah,
but
very true.
Yeah, I'm still worried about Lugia. I feel like Lugia could be as popular as Bolt, maybe a bit less. But then there's other archetypes that, like, Palkia's not great for you, Terapagos isn't great for you, Pidgeot Control's not great for you. They're only going to be those, like, 4% and lower style decks, but they do tot up, I think.
Again,
Snorlax results are very, very polarizing in comparison.
Snorlax is always really busted online, though. I always feel like people don't know how to play against it online or just choose not to and just hit concede when they face it online. Whereas I think at regionals, people care.
I take it with a pinch of salt, the results that Snorlax has online purely for that reason. But I also think it's in the same position as Thorns, where it does, like you said, have to kind of dodge and weave.
So are we also
just
slamming it in B then?
I'm happy to slam it. I'm happy to slam it in B. Only
slam
that
it in
I.
B. Tell you, he's broken hearing about.
Only that I love it.
It's always. I mean, it'll be redundant if I say it's depending on the popularity of Lugia going into it, but I mean, it just got a final in.
I mean, there were some Snorlax players at Worlds and maybe Baltimore who were like, I've got a build of Snorlax which was quite happy to go into Lugia. Not happy, but reasonable to go into Lugia, right? They just all play.
I would only ever be happy to go. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what his list was like though.
I'm only happy to go into Lugia if I'm playing 3 Temple of Sinnoh and like 2 Giacomo, and I'm not doing
Mo Rotom, baby, it's time.
Oh, Mo Rotom.
Time to Mo.
Yeah.
We love
mow them down.
Grass. Come
on,
love
bit of grass. Yeah.
I've seen some lists online also play Blood Moon, which is another way around it, where you can run them out of enough energy so that Blood Moon actually tanks, and then you can petty loop that whilst taking energy off the board proactively, which is cool.
Yeah.
I like that game plan. I mean, I've seen it in Pidgeot Control, I guess as
well.
Similar. Pidgeot Control has a much better time into it, but it's still not great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess, so B for Snorlax still.
Yeah. That's right. Got that in. Next archetype, let's chat about one of the big 2 prizes. Let's go for Miraidon, which I still feel is one of the probably better than Raging Bolt, which I know that's my hot take.
Wow,
I still really rate Miraidon.
Sell us on the Don then.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Well, you always play the game. I know you don't hit the numbers, but I know you don't hit some of the numbers.
Well,
that you need
do you like an Area 0 list, because you can be better into Bolt now by playing Area 0.
Yeah, I mean that's highly beneficial. Only that you have to play your own instead of Pokestop, of course. But I just think
Pokestop.
Iron Hands is such
Or
a
Academy at night, is that?
it's such an advantage having
It's Town Store, bro.
All
yeah,
of them. Let's play four stadiums. Jeff Bang, bung 'em in.
You're the expert. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
You go.
Yeah. Look, do I have to get the credits out? Or?
Oh my god.
I feel like Iron Hands is such an advantage to have in the game right now. I don't know.
I mean, it's not lost its appeal, right? So it's got Iron Hands, it's got built-in VIP pass, it's got all these energy acceleration ways of kind of just splurging energy on a board, taking big knockouts. The problem it still has, I think, right, is our stage 2 decks. Stage 2 decks still are quite troubling for it.
Well, Zard is. It's
Zard,
okay.
yeah.
It's fine into Guardi and Dragapult just because of hands, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, but again, when we're saying fine, is it, again, I haven't seen a matchup kind of spread for it. Is it that bad against Miraidon and Gardevoir 50-50s, I'd say?
Yeah, they're close.
Miraidon, Gardevoir.
They're basically 50-50.
Miraidon's
slightly worse for Dragapult.
Miraidon's 52% in favour of Miraidon. And then Dragapult Pidgeot is 43%.
I don't know if I misheard. What was that, 52%?
52% in favour against Gardevoir, but it's
Against
only
Gardevoir.
43%.
In favour against.
In
Clear as mud.
Okay,
Right.
alright. And then it's got
Who's favoured? Because I'm...
Can we just say whether it's positive or not?
Miraidon's
favoured into
got a
Gardevoir.
positive into Gardevoir, but a
Crazy.
negative into Dragapult.
Yeah.
But then is this also taking into account like pre Henry Chow's list where you're like maybe bursting into like a big Guardi quite early because you got rare candies, or sometimes you just have to kind of wait.
I would say the majority of online lists are not Chow builds because there's more reason to play Devo again in the format. So I don't know if you can play Chow build this weekend, right? Because there's Dragapult and Charizard, there's reason to have at least 2 Dark and Monkey Dory, I would say.
Right. Back onto Miraidon first. Joe, where are you putting it? Before we go to Guardi, since we
I'm not high on Miraidon.
not high on Miraidon.
No. Like your new bad matchup to Dragapult and Terapagos decks, although you gain a nice Palkia matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still feeling unfavoured into Bolt and Zard, which makes me
I agree.
quite worried. So I would put it low B at best.
And that's being kind to you, Rab, I think. Joe.
I'm happy to put it low B.
Rab was going to put it in A based on how
I'm
he was
happy
talking
to
about it.
play.
He likes it more than Bolt.
I'm happy to play Diplomat, but I just like the appetite.
I just think it's neat.
I think
it does zoom.
I mean, it's consistent, right? And
Yeah.
you're always playing the game. That's the
Never when I
difference.
play it.
Just one Miraidon down and off you go, really, right?
All right, that's I'm quite happy with it in B for now. We can always tinker with it because if we end up with a lot in B, it just means we can start to spread the decks out a bit more.
That's fine.
Yeah, true.
Guardi, I guess, because Joe touched on it, would be quite nice to have a little discussion about. As Joe said, it looks like it's going to have to evolve a little bit based on how the meta is looking to shape up. So we don't know what the meta's going to be like. But do we end up going back to the Diva type builds that we saw towards the before
NAIC.
Worlds? But before NAIC, wasn't it? Ben, any take SME for NAIC?
I mean, I still like Gardevoir. I still have the same sentiment that it'll do well in the right hands. But I do really like Henry Chow's list, and I would probably still be on the boat of playing Turbo rather than any other build.
Is there a way to jam
I don't
rare
think
candies and
I don't think
a
it.
Devo into?
I mean, I don't think
like
the
this?
list necessarily changes, right? I don't think the meta changes enough to really alter your method of approach. But also in the same sentiment, I don't think there's any sort of new threats coming into the meta where it would make me alter. If I was a Gardevoir player, it would make me try and alter my decision to something else. I don't know if you share the same sentiment, Joe, but
I wouldn't play Henry's list.
okay, that's fair enough.
I think the Charizard uptick, maybe Pult uptick makes me want to play Devo Dory.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind hybriding. Like the list I put out yesterday had Secret Box as the A-spec choice. It played 1 rare candy, but then still had double Monkey Dory and 3 Dark because I think it's really important for Dragapult to have 2 Monkey Dories throwing that damage off
I
you.
was trying to think.
Yeah,
how
I
can you
guess
jam it together? And does it draw well enough? I guess with secret box it's kind of helpful to kind of get those pieces.
Yeah, I was playing like a research, a secret box.
I think I'm having
to try and
it's
offset.
because I'm having the expectation that there will be more of the hard hitting two prizes than there will be Zard and Dragapult.
That's fair, but I do think you're much worse. Like if people just take the first place champs Bolt, I think that's favoured into Guardy because of Vacuum plus Briar. I think they should be able to carve the 2 prize turns really nicely now.
Interesting.
It's literally just Cope, Klefki, and Prey. I feel like for Guardy now,
and I
Based
guess
on the way
that
you're
that
talking
would
about
be
Guardy.
gone. Sorry.
I was going to say, are you starting
maybe I'm
towards
underselling
low
how
B
good
again?
Klefki is, but I don't think it's an A tier pick.
Is it
Because I think it's really tough to be good into the aggressive decks like Henry did and be good enough into the evolving decks. I think you either have to pick a lane or play a weird amalgamation that you don't feel too happy with. So
because we've
So
spent time
if you-
talking
so
about
if you
Klefki
think-
before.
If you think that
I do like
Tokyo-
Klefki, if that helps.
If you
But then I
think
have to go
the-
first with Guardy, and that makes me queasy.
If you think the Tokyo winning list of Raging Bolt is going to be the play for them, you're kind of not accepting defeat, but you're
Well,
Gotta
you still
be-
have to take one as
you're
the
gonna be
Bolt,
focusing more
but they
on the
can
stage
take
twos.
3 prize turns now. With the vacuum into a Briar on a little guy, or vacuum into a Gust into a big guy.
I don't know. I guess I would just accept the risk, I think, and still play the Turbo.
Ooh,
Okay.
I did a thumbs up on my video.
Yeah.
Hey!
Alex agrees.
No,
Alex agrees. Alex
I have
approves.
no idea. And that
I don't
doesn't
know.
usually happen.
Maybe I'm underselling Guardy. It still draws a bunch of cards and is still an Iono deck, but I'm a little bit soft on it at the moment. I also think there's too many, like, guess what, I'm taking out your active and Dusknoiring this, or I'm Palcuring, like, I'm Greninjaing this, or I'm Dragoing and Dragapulting this. I feel like you're constantly under fire now.
Yeah. I agree with that sentiment. The worrying thing is, like, it's kind of this semi-uptick in the decks that can do the additional damage, whether it's Dragapult with the dropping the damage, or, like you said, Greninja, or just Vacuum suddenly appearing in lists, like a good amount of lists now.
Yeah.
It just gets caught in the crossfire.
And jamming towers. Yeah, true.
Yeah. I mean, but the inherent power of God of War, I don't think you can ever really be lower than B.
That's fair.
Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't think of it going lower than B, but...
I'd probably put it high B.
You want to put?
Okay.
We could put a high B initially.
Rab's quite hot on it, I think. He likes Chow's list. He likes zooming with the secrets. The secret.
I've always
He's
liked
like
that.
zooming. He's
So when it wins,
Zoom,
I'll be
zoom.
saying,
I always liked it.
Let's go on to Lugia then.
I'm not touching it with a barge pole.
No,
I'm
same.
terrified to play against it.
I was just about to say I'm still not playing Lugia.
Have
I
we said
will-
this
you
that
will
every
not-
time we bring up the word Lugia, it sends shivers down our back. Whether we're going to be either trying to play it because we can't test
Yeah.
it because it's awful when we do, or we play against it and everyone's like drawing hotter than the sun.
It's such an annoying deck because it absolutely battered Baltimore. I know that I probably want to tech against it if I can, but I just know I'll never play it, and it's just really down to the opponents that you face. Like, it's literally just opening hand sim, I feel like. But I rate it as an A-tier deck just because it can pop off.
I would share the same shame view.
The shamed view.
It's
good as
punishing Dragapult right now as well, which I think is important, like as one of the new good decks, and it punishes Palkia. So, like, in terms of new decks, there's nothing that you're afraid of.
Personally, I would never play Lugia, but on paper, it is very good.
Those who will are rubbing their hands right
yes, those are the ones that are willing to accept fate.
now. There's no reason to not play it this weekend, I would say.
Rohan charging into battle with Lugia.
You make things so hard to pick a deck when I'm friends with you, Joe. Forwards is good.
Are you on Lugia, Alex?
No, but I've still had again. Those were my two Worlds decks, right? Lugia and Fawns.
Oh well, what's your thoughts on Lugia then?
Casino, cash out.
I think I obviously think it's very good when it gets there, and obviously we've seen players like Rahul recently at Worlds and then into Baltimore play his version.
Do you like Raiko? I really like Raiko.
I really like Raiko. I mean, it's good for Mirror, it's good for Pauk. Generally, it might be easier for yourself against.
There's
Pauk.
just so much Pidgeot around as well. Like, it's good for Terrapagos, Polt, Charizard. It's
Again,
just so
we've semi-spoken
right
about this, Joe. Right? Just Raikou.
We love Raikou generally. Yeah.
Just he's a bit squishy for a V.
He is squish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's anywhere lower than an A, just because again, it could just pop off and do its own things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's got so many pieces for itself. We've spoken about it
over time
is
now. Decent into control as well, like without doing anything.
Imagine.
It has it all. It has
why
it
are we
all.
not, Joe? Why are we not just locking in?
You get to play the consistent list and just go.
Yeah.
Right. To be fair, I do like Squawk as well. I do think Squawk is a big... Like, Squawk Nestball does feel like a genuine upgrade whenever I play the deck now, compared to when I was trying Great Ball Carmine.
Yeah.
It has.
We have such personal views.
I didn't even know that.
It does Squawk and seize the day now.
To be fair, why didn't it before?
Because we would just fish for Carmine, but that's not as good.
Right,
we were mugged.
Into A, Lugia soared into.
Straight into A. Did you guys want to pick a specific deck, or do you want me to pick one?
I'll go with Drago, just because I think it's still an A-tier deck. I think you're one of the only decks that really punishes Zard in the formats, like, quite comfortably. So I think that's one of its big boasts. It has a lot of consistency, a ton of reach to punish any weak start from your opponent. You can be like, okay, I guess I'm just V-starring on 2 and just obliterating the board as I see it. And denying Pidgeot from like 3 archetypes in the room is massive when you go first. So I think that's really good. It's obviously being kept down by Bolt, which should be quite popular, and Lugia to an extent, although I think everyone's going to play Temple, right, in Drago.
It still has its, like, not rough, but kind of odd matchups against those kind of racy 2-prizer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy seeing
decks, right?
the racing decks, but I feel like it's going to be like Bolt or not much. Like, I feel like the Dawn and the Moon are going to be like sub 5% easy.
Not Rab's Moon.
Yeah, I don't think it's terrible. We'll get there, but I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be played.
I think Regidrago generally just has answers for most things, even if it is a bit unfavored against those kind of decks. It still can just.
I keep finding myself wanting to test Drago because I feel like it just does so much. It's still such an unfair deck.
Yeah. The only annoying thing is, and again, it was a deck I tested going into Worlds quite heavily. I haven't played it as much recently, but you still get those awkward discards with Sycamore or having to use the V-Star, and it's just like, it's painful.
I teal danced into my second rod before research. That literally happened an hour ago to me.
And now Joe's not releasing a Regidrago video.
And now you won't be getting a Drago video.
Yeah, I'd put it low A. It can just kind of spike, and in the hands of the right player, it will do well.
I think low A is solid.
Yeah, I'd agree with all sentiments. Does a lot of things. Does a lot. Says a lot.
Oh, Noivern's second attack could be annoying for Terrapagos as well. You can Sinnoh and Noivern EX lock out Terrapagos if you think that's going to be a big deck as well, which is a small thing.
Would that be your change going into this tournament?
No, I wouldn't play it, but it's possible. I
don't
think there'll be enough Terrapagos to do it.
I'm going to set Joe up here for a hot take. No, not at all. But you can. You certainly can.
I've chucked it back in. I've caught the fish and I've chucked it back in the water.
That's going to be the thumbnail. Neuvern for Dortmund?
It's back.
Neuvern's second attack. Sell us Roaring Moon then, Ben. Come on, the best of the two.
I don't have the same opinion necessarily.
I mean, you didn't have an opinion last time we did this,
as I had for Rhydon
a week later. So.
However, I still do like Roaring Moon. Not maybe as much now with Dragapult becoming more popular. However, I still feel
gouge too freely, can you?
No, but I still feel it's a go fast deck, and it's a very 4/4/4/4/4 of. So I still like it as an archetype, but would I play it over? Would I play it over Raging Bolt now? Probably not.
Is 220 enough for Calamity Storm to be relevant? Because
No,
I guess
that's
where
another
it
thing.
finds
That's
itself,
another
where it
thing.
finds itself really nicely placed was when 220 is like a good number for it.
The only
Terrapagos
reason
having 230.
the only reason you would
Like-
play, in my eyes, you'd play Roaring Moon over, say, Miraidon or Raging Bolt is purely because of the versatility of Frenzied Gouging, and you have the ability to play the single prize Roaring Moon, and you can, I guess, play Petulant.
You never
But-
hit that big with the Baby Moon though, right? 'Cause
No, but it's
It's
still a
meant to
single
hit
prize.
little
It's still a
guys.
single prize
Yeah.
option. But
Yeah, I suppose.
but now I feel like Raging
You just
Bolt
judge with it,
Raging
right?
Bolt is more consistent now, and Miraidon still has Iron Hands.
Wait, why
for
is
me.
Raging Bolt more consistent? It's the same deck.
literally hasn't changed. It added a Briar.
It's the same card, and not everyone adds the Briar.
No. Sorry, I don't mean more consistent in terms of how it plays.
Oh, that's weird, because the sentence you said is more
Yeah,
consistent.
yeah. Okay,
As
all
in-
right.
as
Let
in
me
there's an uptick in it,
Let me
yeah.
rephrase that. I think Raging Bolt.
I
is
love
now-
catching you out on the...
I think Raging Bolt now is better in taking the larger knockouts than it was before.
Why?
Well, it has
It's the
it has
same
the
deck.
It has the addition of Brian now, right?
It doesn't help
doesn't
it
increase
get
damage
big
output.
knockouts.
No. But taking extra prizes, it's better at doing what it does.
You're saying as its own deck why you like it more than Moon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
fine.
So
So
I
you-
would put Roaring Moon low B.
But you also said you don't like Bolt.
Somebody
You
else
prefer
told.
Miraidon. You prefer
I-
Miraidon to Bolt a moment ago, right? I think it was your.
No. No, sorry,
Did
yeah.
you not say that?
I said I personally
Run the tape
prefer.
back, he did say
I
it.
personally prefer Miraidon to Bolt. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd go
Fine.
Miraidon Bolt Moon.
So again,
I would prefer to play Moon than Miraidon if it helps.
Okay.
I think it's got a slightly better Charizard. Japan have started adding Mochi to their deck so that you can hit the bigger numbers without gouging, which is interesting. And then the other way around it is playing Ancient Booster Capsules so that you can gouge into Dragapults, which is interesting. So there's been a bit of a split.
Do you remember once upon a time this Roaring Moon deck played like Greninjas and Water Energy, and
Do you want to bring it back?
anymore? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, you can definitely surprise
coming
people this
back?
weekend if you want to make that happen. But
there's a lot of little mons around nowadays.
yeah, it's just annoying that you can't get the Greninja into the active. Like Petron
Yeah.
gets everything but Greninja active, so
Can
you have to go back to switch cards, which is annoying.
Well, you can Petulant a more Peko and retreat it.
You can
can.
do that. You have the technology, Alex.
Woo! Let's
then you
go. Anyway, moving
Let's
on.
go.
Putting Palafin at that point, right?
Hang on.
It's Palafin all along. What if it was a Weavile? Yeah.
Brain on.
I guess we have we placed Bolt yet? Because I guess it looks
No,
like
we
we're
haven't
just gonna
placed
chuck
Bolt,
it
but
together.
where
We're
are we
gonna chuck
placing
it
Moon?
Wait,
with
where
the
are we
other
placing
two.
Moon?
I'd say low
Oh.
B.
Low B. Let's get it.
Cool.
I like it. It's
I think
probably
it's
the
gonna
best
be- I
judge
think it's-
deck, which I think is
Yeah.
notable.
I think it's going to be based on, from my view, the percentages that are going to be played of certain decks, I guess. So, like, I think it's on the cusp of C and B for me.
Yeah, we can also put it top of C.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think there's big appeal to play it this weekend, but I also think if you're happy playing this as your turbo choice, it's also fine.
Yeah, and Joe would rather play this one over Miraidon. Anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would.
Yeah,
All right.
Bolt, since we kind of talked
Yeah.
about that, triangle of big two prizes. We've spoken about it already. It just won the Champions League over in Tokyo, Japan. Hasn't really changed. People have tried the Noctowl build. Some people like it. Gives you a bit more options, but people just like going ham and catcher and Briar.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's still a very good deck, right? Well,
Mhm.
where did we put it last time? Was it the bottom
I
of the
think,
three
I,
that
think,
we
I
said?
think we probably put a B tier last time.
Yeah.
From
It did
memory.
flop Baltimore, if it helps. It was very
Yeah, it
paid in
did.
Baltimore and did trash. It had like 2% conversion.
It went from
Um,
15 to off the graphic.
It's off the scale.
15%.
It's off the chain.
To absolutely nowhere.
In terms of new matchups, I think you're quite happy to see Dragapult. And I think you're like okay into Terrapagos. And fine into Palkia. I think the Palkia is the one having to do the hard work in that matchup, whereas you're just doing the usual stuff.
when are you not doing the usual stuff in that deck?
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
fair. It is a one-dimensional deck to its core.
But it does it very well, and that's why
it does do the thing it does quite well.
It does. That's why it's good, right?
Yeah, I think the Briar does work in the deck. I probably would play it this weekend just because, especially with 3 Pokestock. I think it's actually better with 3 Pokestock because you get yourself down to like 10 cards in deck for the Pokegear combo that you set, like Palpadit, Pokegear it, endgame loop.
Especially playing Bolt.
I really like the Night Stretcher as well. Going back to that, I like Night Stretcher to get back an extra Sada.
Rewind.
Target. An extra Sada target.
He was getting there, Alex. Yeah. Don't you ever
Just give me some
doubt
time.
our boy.
Give me a minute. And I'll
He was trying to read the cards, but without his glasses, he
No. I'm looking at pure tier list. I'm not looking at anything.
One thing to note is part of the Baltimore flop was because there was 9% Ancient Box as well, which I can't imagine there being that level of like hate for the deck. I think it kind of just like exists as a good deck, and people aren't really here to counter it. So. I think that's going well, and you can't really mess up the list. So, like, anyone of any skill can bring a deck that's going to keep you rigidly to a 4-turn game or a 3-turn game if they've gone second and everything's going well. So,
I think
we have to put it in A. It's the best performer in the online tournaments, but it is very popular. And yeah, it just won a 5,000 player tournament. So
I think that's why it's also quite dangerous, is because it is very set menu. You can't really alter the list as much.
It's also just very nice into like what I would expect to be one of the most played decks in Charizard, right? Just with those Ogre-Pons.
Yeah.
I'm happy being Charizard in the matchup, but
okay. Yeah, maybe. I mean,
I'm happy.
Charizard has to do more. Charizard's the one having to wiggle around.
Trying to rebuild the board to a 1 prize board with the Radiant Charizard, weaving that in. I mean, you played DTE in one version.
You don't even do that anymore now, though. Like, because Raging Bolt's going to go down to 4 a lot. Like, you can let them flip their catches on your Rotom now, and you can let them Ogre Pond your Charizard, and you can win with your own Briar Dust Noir.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So I want to put down Rotom against them now.
There's a lot more sequencing on the Zard. I mean, the Raging Bolt player is literally, knockout, very linear game plan.
Just asking the questions. Do you have it?
The Zard, the
Zard.
Zard.
That's not to neg on the deck too much, but it does mean that like you're going to lose the stuff you lose to.
Yeah.
Right.
If the Zard's going to win that, they have to play. Pretty much to a T,
where are we putting this? Is this B?
I've put it just before Zard.
I would put it A. Yeah, I think it's A.
Yeah.
You think it's our top deck right now, Rab?
No. I put it before. I put Zard first, Raging Bolt second. And then
that's fair.
And then I've got Lugia third. Or do we think
your wording is wild?
Do we think Regidrago? Do we think
before the aftermath of the conclusion?
Do we think Regidrago is third?
I prefer Regidrago to Lugia.
Yeah, I would also.
Personally,
we'll swing back round. We've still got a few decks to churn through, don't we?
Let's go Ancient Box. Let's go through some of these.
I will stick that right at the bottom.
Okay.
Agree.
I don't think it matches up well into a lot.
If you here's a question then. I'm going to put you both on the block. If you think it's not a good play, why do people keep playing it, and why do people
I think they played it for exactly Baltimore because it was a metagame call, because there was loads of big basic decks, and I think now there's not.
That's not me saying, by the way, it's a good pick. I'm just asking that question because I think our viewers...
No, you're asking why everyone keeps playing it. I feel like it's been like a 2% deck in a ton of formats and then got 9% exactly in Baltimore for a meta call.
Okay. You don't think it's for any other reason?
It has its moment. Again, I feel like you're just going to be dodging... Compared to a lot of the other decks, you're dodging a lot more now in the new format.
There's also just Briar in like 3 decks now. I think you're worse into Bolt, although probably still favoured. I think you're worse into Zard, which was already bad. And I think there's like new Palkia and Terrapagos decks that can both Briar you and take sneaky prizes all over the place. And there's Dragapult that can do annoying plays. And there's going to be random... There's also random HQs then like Guardy and Dragapult and just griefs like that you just get caught in the crossfire with because people are checking for Bolt. So
don't forget Noivern.
And who can forget Noivern? It's another dub for Noivern.
Sign the slip.
What is our current scale? Is it S to D?
It's S to D. So I'm also very happy putting it in D.
I'm happy to stick it in D for now. Yeah. Personally.
Yeah. Go for it.
I'm not the biggest fan of the deck right now.
Okay, let's go Lost Zone box. This also, for the viewers and the listeners, this also includes Lost Zone Zard as well. We're gonna marry the two up.
I will quickly say I think it's actually pretty well positioned.
Okay.
Right now into
what's in your box right now?
Well, this is the thing, right? Because we're kind of combining the two. Obviously,
well, talk about a gate box then, or do you like a Zard box more?
I think the Zard box is in a pretty cool spot right now. I actually just really like it as a deck, just because, again, of course, you're going fairly well into those nice 2-prizer decks that we talk about racing, because you can kind of just weave in certain attackers that will allow you to stretch over those HP thresholds anyway. I think it's got a really cool engine. Of course, Regidrago's has this kind of weird hold over it with Kyurem. But it's not that 20% that Regidrago was. So
True.
If you're factoring in a deck which is on the downtick because everything else is moving up slightly, I just find that it's got a lot of things in the deck, or that you can build the deck to be, that would fit quite nicely in this. So I don't think it's necessarily like A, or maybe not even B. I just think it's a bit of a sleeper. That probably
a dedicated Lost Zoner. Yeah, that's fair. Would you play Moon EX in the deck?
Moon EX, yeah, if it was that type of build as well, because again, like a late game finisher, maybe for the final 2 prizes, that kind of thing, to kind of stretch for one of those big knockouts on stage 2, right? There's just so many things going on, and it's got so much utility because of Mirage Gate. It's still, in my opinion, the best energy acceleration we have.
That's interesting. Would you think about Crispin as the budget Raihan? Or no? Is that cope?
Yeah, I think that's asking too much.
Okay, that's
personally.
fine.
I quite like Crispin, but yeah, that's pushing too much.
That is too far, Joe.
Really
for what it's worth,
really have gone too far.
For what it's worth, I think the lightning stuff is, again, we've already mentioned Raiko a couple times, but I think like a Lost Box with Miraidon EX and the Rotom V as like a mini package alongside Hans and Raiko could be a cool way to play it. And yeah, you're not under the thumb of Drago as much as you were, which is maybe opens the door for you. I don't think you're... Well, yeah, I think you just have to put a lot of work in to get something out of the deck. You can't jump onto Lost Box. But if you've been ironing it out this whole time, you can still do well with it.
Yeah, it was just like kind of thinking about the whole meta at the moment, and it's just like, you know what? It's a bit under the radar in terms of what it can. We know.
Oh, it's off the radar. No one's thinking about it as a meta, like as a deck to be
Joe's new
concerned
video
about.
next week after Dortmund, and top 16s or something. Anyway,
surprise! I played Lost Box.
But yeah, C at best.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's all dependent on the right list. I think, like you said, Joe, if you've got it ironed out, if you've got your game plan sorted, and you come into the right matchups with the Pokemon that you've picked, I think you can. you do have a way forward to do well, make a day 2 or even further than that. But yeah, I think that's as far as that goes, really. Do
we have a few that we could churn through very quickly?
Yeah. Okay. Let's churn through some of these.
Some of the bottom of the barrel ones.
Claw for Electrode.
Bung it low.
Bung it low. You're joking.
Bung it low.
How low? How far the barrel we go?
Low C.
How low can you go? Low C. Let's not put it alongside Ancient Box,
wild,
please.
Shall we? Okay. Ogerpon Noivern.
I think Noivern's terrible for the weekend, but I don't mind Cornerstone Mimikyu as a deck.
What about the Giraffe?
The Farig.
Farig.
Well, is Farig better or worse than Noivern, I guess?
I think it's just annoying, really.
Brilliant. Cheers for that, Ben.
Right, next deck.
Thanks, SME.
Right,
so that's
low C, that's fine. Chenpao Baxcalibur.
The very bottom, in my opinion.
Lower than Ancient Box for me.
There's more spread, there's more sprinkle,
so
there's more
I've got
terrible.
One more, which I think is, just a tick box, is Giratina Lost Box. I only put this in the selection, but just because I've seen a significant amount of uptick in numbers in Tokyo, and they were happy to kind of, feature it as one of the decks that I've seen quite an increase in representation.
Again, with Lost Zone, it has some cute utility. It has like that insta KO effect. It has a pretty good attack still, 280. Has access to Greninja for just spoiling people's parties.
Yeah.
But
I think it's solid into all the evolving decks actually.
Yeah, but the issue it still has is with those two prizes. The fear it's always had is something like you get a Tina down, you end your turn after your first turn or so on, and then out comes a Miraidon and one bungs you.
I think
Oblivion.
I'd agree. I think the
happens
problem
far too often.
The problem is catcher in the format. If the two prize aggressive decks are fortunate
Are we
to
back
hit
in
a
2013?
catcher turn 2, or even a Pokemon catcher in Radiant Dawn.
I thought that's what you were on about.
No, I was talking about Prime Catcher. No, I think
I'm
you're in a pretty you're having a bad time. But I'm happy to put it alongside Lost Zone box. I think.
Yeah,
Fine.
I'm fine
with
think
that
it's
as well.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit worse than that, but it's like the lower end of.
Yeah,
I think it's like a thin Tina. You also played Blood Moon, and you're just saying that like Greninja good.
Yeah. You always. I think you're always
power
playing
good.
BMU, which is kind of cute.
Okay.
Good card. Good card.
Good card. Iron Leaves, sure. Shove it in.
Iron Leaves as well, yeah. Let's go Terrapagos then.
Here we go.
I've just put Terrapagos as just plain
Terrapagos.
Terrapagos, not any sort of specific type of build. But I, for one, the only testing that I've done with Terrapagos really is just the straight builds with Survival Brace, which I
With
actually
what, sorry?
Survival
Brace.
Oh, okay.
which I actually really enjoy. I think that deck is really fun to play. By turn 5, I can literally do anything I want, just because I got like.
You think there's 5 turns in this game, bro?
There's two barrel. There's two Hootu
Decks
on
are
my
winning
board.
in 2
there's a
attacks
Swover.
nowadays.
You think you've got
Rab's got
5
to
turns,
turn 5.
bro?
There's two Buffalo on the field as well. Well, there is if you're playing Survival Brace.
Come on.
Which is great. The only part that worries me about a pure Terrapagos build, and I'm going to call it a pure Terrapagos, not straight, for whatever reason, is just the damage output. That's the only bit that really kind of concerns me.
But you're doing everything you want by turn 5.
You are, but again, it's kind of when you cube.
It's time to flip
when
the
you
script.
cube and you draft all of the draw supporters, and then you play all the draw supporters, and then you go, "What am I drawing into?"
Now this is my cat.
It's a very similar feel, but it's only the damage output, and of course it is if you're going to play just the Terrapagos as an attacking option, you can get very easily counted, obviously with Area 0 being your only kind of damage modifier. But yeah, I don't know if you both have any thoughts on maybe some different builds you've seen out there with maybe Dust Noir.
I mean, all the results of Pidgeot Dust Noir online, and being less. Well, it's just trying to reduce the game down to fewer turns, right? So that it can weave in Briar more confidently. There are some interesting no Pidgeot builds that try and go even faster with like higher Poffin count and try and again just like discard Dust Noirs to stretch them back later, like Squawk early and stuff. So that's kind of interesting. It's just like I'm trying to force 2 attacks, and because I have this Briar card, I can get over the line. Can even use like Defiance Band because you're forcing them to take prizes as you go, sort of thing. So that's kind of cool. It does have a terrible Charizard though, and I can't figure out how to make Charizard better, which scares me as a play. But I think it is. I think it's definitely the best user of the Noctowl engine, which is a crazy freaking engine. So. I think again, like we've had a blueprint of a couple good lists, which means you can go in pretty confident that it's able to just churn through a bunch of games.
Is it still bad into Zod with Dust Noir as well?
It's still not doing well. I mean, the data's saying it's pretty poor, and I think the majority of lists are the Dust Noir builds. I feel like there will be those situations where you can pop off enough. Like Candy Pitch, Candy Dusk. Like that's a lot to freaking ask for, but you still have Noctowl to do it.
Well, the data's saying other than Zard and Tuba Roaring Moon, it has a pretty positive matchup across the board.
Yeah, like I said, it's had some crazy good results, and I just can't see past Zard because I think it's going to be big.
That's a problem.
But you can easily just not face a Zard in the day, and then you're at top tables. So
I guess you got to think: am I going to face 1, 2, or 3 of them? You know,
I would expect to face 3 Zard if I'm playing day 1 and day 2. But if it's just day 1, I think you can just face 1 Zard and still end up a really good record.
And I guess when are you going to face those Zard?
Oh, it's a big question. The whole tournament could go wrong in round 2.
I am so excited.
And we've dropped.
I've dropped.
I
believe I hit 2 Zards. What?
I would probably place it mid B though. I don't know if you guys have the
Mid-B.
same.
I don't mind sneaking it into A.
Really?
But,
Okay.
High,
or at least have it high B.
High B for me, because I think it's got a lot of good results online. Obviously, we take online results with a pinch of salt. It may still need a little bit of work. You know, it's early doors.
Yeah.
The engine's just so nice.
Yeah,
like
the
it
engine
does
is
feel like a
nice.
smooth deck to play.
I mean, I still believe the Noctowl. I'm a really big fan of the Noctowl, the Barrel Squover engine as a whole.
You'd full bung all of them.
You just
You're
love
all
the
in.
Barrel Squove at one prize. You
I
just
do.
love penny
It's
loot,
just
right?
it's so great. Yeah, you can
You're
get whatever you
all in.
want, but what you want, that's the thing.
Whatever you want.
But what do I
What
want?
do I want? What am I looking
I don't know,
for?
but we're going to see 5 more cards and it could be good.
Ooh.
Is this what I want?
Stick it in, Ben. Where
I put it in. I put it in just. I've got Gardevoir, then I've got Terrapagos.
Right. Surely we can't have many decks left.
No, we got
Palkia
2.
to talk
Oh
about,
no, we got
right?
3.
2.
Sorry. So
3.
we can quickly knock off Pidgeot Control if you'd like to.
B. That is
B.
again.
I'd put it in the same.
What's bad for Pidgeot control? It's
That's the thing. I don't think
the
there is.
player. I don't know.
Well, we've said that before.
I think it's one of those.
what you
decks.
need to be busted. Yeah.
It loses.
You need to have put a lot of time in it because it's got so many like these miniature packages to deal with different matchups, right?
If you asked,
it's kind of how we've always spoken to Sander over the years, or seen Alessandro's list over the past like couple of 2-3 years as well, where it's like there's so many pieces you need to weave together to beat a particular matchup that you make one small misstep, and it's not a small misstep, it becomes massive down the line.
It becomes the game.
And you're only playing one game, right?
I mean,
Really.
unfortunately, we even kind of I don't know if maybe it was Alessandro being tired. We saw it at EUIC, right? It was that slight one small misstep meant, well, it cascades down, and it's just an unfortunate scenario.
I think it can be put in difficult situations by these aggressive archetypes as well if they're able to just kind of go really hard very early. Pidgeot can just sometimes fall apart. It can just sometimes just fall apart though.
Have you tinkered with any Rotom in the deck, Rab?
I have played
Rotom?
No, so I didn't. I just been playing the straight kind of 2/2 Pidgeot with all the mates.
I thought you were going to play Fergarath with the colourless Girafarig.
I was, but I wanted to play that with the cornerstone Ogopon. I didn't want to play it in Pidgeot control. The only thing I did want to play in Pidgeot control actually was Thornton. I guess you could, but then I was playing Noivern.
That's pretty common, right? But anyway, yeah.
And go back to one of Alessandro's previous builds. But I agree with you, Alex. I think it's in the eye of the beholder, really. I think if you're going to play Pidgeot control, you have to be super on it. Not only all day during the event, but also before in terms of what you're putting in your list. Your lines
It's also scaring me that Tord played it at Baltimore. That terrifies me.
We're just talking about these kind of archetypes right now. I'm looking at that current running late night that's being played. I mean,
it's crushing it, right?
There's double Snorlax in the top 16. There's double Pidgeot in top 16. There's a Bouffalon Control. It looks like.
God, this game is so fun.
Don't be having this now.
Can I just say that I love this game?
They'll ban Pidgeot in a minute if you say you're not having.
Someone played a Patrice Evra video.
No, I mean Snorlax and Pidgeot always capitalise on a meta that's new, I guess, or undiscovered.
Because everyone's jamming in all the good cards.
Everybody's
I
trying.
feel like it's harder to play
test.
Pidgeot in a new format, but maybe
I don't know.
I'm wrong.
I think it capitalises on new
I
metas
think-
going out.
But how
Yeah.
new are the lists? Like, apart from Terrapagos and Palkia, the lists aren't actually that new.
I think that's another problem for it, right?
But
Because I
this
don't
is
think
what I
the
mean.
lists have
People start
inherently
dropping
changed.
things like Switch cards and
Yeah, I guess people are caring,
colognes
like
and
it's not on the
these
radar.
like soft counters that you would
Zards-
jam into the deck if you expect to see more
Yeah.
Snorlax. Like we saw at EUIC, more Churros, more. That kind
I mean,
of
take
There was
Zard,
big fear
take
factor
Zard
in
as an
USC.
example, right? I mean, they're more focused on putting Briar and another.
I mean,
one
Zard
on
has to
wonder
scoop,
for it.
right?
Yeah.
Zard has to scoop to
Yeah.
control now.
Yeah, I put it just before Snorlax control though.
Yeah,
Snorlax
Okay.
is-
I mean, they hold hands.
Ultimately,
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
matter where we play it, where we place it, because the people who want to play it will play it.
Yeah.
So that's
Agreed.
fine.
Let's go through another.
3%.
We got two kind of big ones. We've got Dragapult and Palkia. I don't know if you wanted to go
kept
through.
him here all the way to the end.
Yeah, I don't know if
Crazy.
you wanted to go through Palkia, Joe, if you're going to be playing it at Dortmund.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's solid. I do think you have to patch up Charizard. The way I'm doing it is with Grass Energy, Trumpets, Iron Leaves, which does take a considerable amount of space away from the deck. If you want to be a bit cheekier into Zard, you can just play like Kieran, possibly Max Belt if you want to, so you have that extra reach. And that is more forgiving of space, which I think is interesting, so that you can still keep everything in the deck. I do really like the Champions League list played thick Barrel, but I think you should play some elements of Barrel in the list. I'm currently at like 1-1 in the 60. But yeah, I think Palkia is very good going first at just punishing evolving decks with the Frog. And I think you can have lots of different avenues to prizes. High damage output now with Area 0. If you want to play Briar, Terrapagos, that's a neat combo as another way to close out games that your opponent can't really play around too much. So, and it gets to play Fan Rotom Noctowl, which I've been eager to play.
Yeah.
Because I think it's, on turn 2 you can be double Starbirthing essentially via Noctowl, which feels super unfair if you have the good elements. I think the thing that I do still struggle with is that you need a lot of ball search in a lot of your opening hands. Because you need to have access to a Terra. You want to get Palkia down, sometimes 2 Palkias down at the same time just to be safe, or play Thornton in your list. And you want to get Greninja to get energy flowing, so then your V-Star power's online. So, and obviously you need Fan Rotom as well to get the rest of the stuff. So you need to see a lot of ball search. It's a high maintenance deck, but
I
it
think you
does
just need to
have
see-
insane ceiling.
You need to see a lot of cards just in general. I think.
Yeah.
That's my current worry of the deck. So again, the deck I'm testing a little bit. There's a lot of combo pieces just flying around, and I'm like, well, I have to discard this now. But if it gets me to that first combo, maybe knockout or combo like double knockout or Greninja or something like that, you can kind of sometimes run away with games.
Yeah, I think 100% you can.
It's like a mental like barrier you have to like kind of force yourself through to like all these like maybe often double Noctowl turn 2 alongside a nest ball or something that need to get a Terra down. Those Palkias are surprisingly thick boys if it gets stuck in the active, or even the Terra gets stuck in the active as well. Then you have to kind of maneuver those. It's an awkward deck to play, but that's because it needs. It's almost like I think quite a broken combo you can do with it because of Noctowl.
Yeah, I definitely think the
it
same.
piques my interest, but I can imagine my head hurting at the end of the tournament.
I think
It has a high ceiling, but also, you can just have abysmal stuff. There's a lot of times where you're just looking at some silly cards in your hand, and then you've got the Hoots down, but no access to the Terror, and you're just like,
I think the early games, the early game playing it is very, very,
it can be.
the amount of resources that you need.
What was that?
It's weird. It's weird because you have all the counts, so it's not inconsistent, but it is just high maintenance. That's the only way I can describe
high
it.
maintenance is a good explanation of it. Yeah.
But I think if you get past that early game, though, I think, like you said, Joe, the ceiling gets very high, and naturally, it's gonna be a natural benefactor of Area 0, obviously with Cersei Swell, but obviously it has the energy acceleration already built into it. It can capitalize with Radiant Greninja as well as Terrapagos.
We know that combo's been strong since it was printed,
always
right?
has been, right?
I mean, we're going back to the whole Palkia Intel kind of.
Yeah.
But on a stage one.
But on a stage one, yeah, exactly. I mean, I I've already said before, huge fan of that engine. So
That being said, at the moment I wouldn't stick it higher than a B. I know we've got a lot of decks in B.
I would also put it B, only because
it is
so easily pressured by these two prize aggressive archetypes. I think it's in the same place as Giratina, in the sense that an early catcher can be just your game's just gone.
Yeah, you have to build.
Depends how you
board.
play it, Rab. That's what I'll say.
You do
Depends
have to
how you
build.
build. You basically have to play like your Goldengo with Palkia. You have to just represent a one prize board, force them to take one, and then you're big chilling. But
do you put it above or behind Terapagos?
What do you mean?
I mean, I like the deck. I'm quite biased. I think because it has a manageable Zard, I would put it above it.
I would put it above Terapagos because of the flexibility in terms of attacking options.
Terapagos has one attack, bro.
I think due to
obviously that's what I'm saying. It's better than Terapagos.
My very simple thinking is due to the more simplistic, like linear gameplay you might have with Terapagos. Kind of get all your combos down quite simply, and then get an attacker with a DTE. I would put that slightly ahead.
That's fine.
Cool. And then last but not least, Dragapult. Dow, do you want to kick us off?
It's another one gonna sit in B tier. It's really cool. It has lots of utility because of the A spec. We've already mentioned it probably numerous times now. We know it's got a busted attack. It's why it's in Regidrago as a 2 of. Maybe some people being naughty and cutting it to 1, but that's crazy. But now it can actually do it on turn 2, and it could be just as quick. It's just a good deck, and as Joe's already mentioned, if you can build it to similar to the Japanese list that we've seen, relatively straightforward, draws the cards that it needs to, draws the pieces that it needs to, it will just, again, ask questions of your opponent because you're putting 200 damage, 60 damage on the board pretty much all the time. And then you've got Alakazam to play around, take 4 prizes with relative ease sometimes. It's cute, but does it have enough? I've always sometimes felt that 200 isn't actually quite enough. I don't know why.
I think 200 is perfect because it is the only deck that doesn't care about Fez.
Yeah,
it
can't
feels
be.
That's kind of true.
That feels freaking massive.
It can't be more than
Fez.
200. I think the only thing that was ever missing for Dragapult was a consistent energy acceleration, because before Crispin and
now it's got
Sparkling Crystal, we had to rely on Zartu or Zard
or the Neo Upper
Mela.
Or Neo Upper, sure.
Oh, I forgot you had the one Mela in.
But I think Crispin and Sparkling Crystal make this an option, viable option. Other than playing it in Regidrago, which we've already discussed before, Regidrago being the better Dragapult, blah blah blah, ha ha ha. But now you can just play the pure Dragapult build.
I think the reason why I also kind of don't really like it is I'm so in tune with playing a Greninja or a Charizard as a Radiant that losing like a good one prize attacker or a very strong. Well, very strong attacker and draw engine over something which I need to drop maybe mid to late game to kind of fix some math here and there. It's a bit crazy to me still.
It does basically board lock every evolution deck though. Alakazam is that powerful, I think.
I guess, imagine having the kind of Hawlucha whenever you want it, right? Just move things around.
Or you could play
and you play Churro as well. You can do it twice in a turn. That can get really nasty.
I think
you could play Hawlucha in the deck.
Yeah.
But
I rate it though.
Yeah,
I think I rate it a bit higher than you, Alex.
I
would put it low A, or at least the best A tier. The best B tier.
A tier.
I'd stick it low A. I'd stick it behind Lugia, but above God.
I mean, Lugia is still a tough matchup. You have, because you're playing Radzam, you have to shoehorn like a lot of cards to respect bolts, which is a problem. And I do still think you still get buggered by Bravery Charm sometimes, which can really just make the game like, okay, I need to make this a 6-turn game now, and random stuff like that. But I do think you boast a decent time into the other evolving decks. And the actual, just like the physical hit points into a lot of other matchups is big. I think it's solid.
Yeah, I mean, I would have stuck it fairly high B, but low A, I'm happy with as well. It's just
right. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
just Polt in it.
Yeah.
Just Polt in it.
Just annoying. I'll rattle off for our listeners the tier list in its completion. So,
Yeah, do we want to quickly shift any as we go along? Just let us know.
Oh yeah, sure. So D tier we have Ancient Box and Chen Pao. Do you want to alter any of them or?
I like it how that is.
That sounds good.
I had a funny
to me.
feeling.
Do we have lower than D? Just
We do not.
send it
bin.
C tier we have
boot it
Turbo.
off the tier list.
So from the bottom up in C tier we have Ogapon Noivern, Clorf Electrode, Giratina Lost Box, Lost Zone Box. That includes Zard as well.
I think
and
that's
then
fine for
tipping
me as well.
C tier is Turbo Roaring Moon.
I would put Ogapon above Clorf, and I need that to be changed to feel happy about this tier list.
That's fine.
Feel
We'll
happy.
give you that.
It's not all about you, Joe.
So starting B tier we have Miraidon, then Iron Thorns, Pidgeot and Snorlax Control, Terrapagos, Palkia, and then Gardevoir.
It's a lot of decks, but I like where we've got that. To be fair,
And then
do you feel like Miraidon needs to be pushed, Rab? Do you like it anymore? Like, do you?
I don't think I'd play it.
That
Next
puts
week,
it. Does
he's
that put it
just gonna
outside
be
the
like,
top
It was
10?
the best deck.
Does that put it outside the top 10? I can't.
Well,
I
I'm just saying
count.
I personally like it. It's just
Is it-
that's
no,
fine.
is-
people don't
yeah,
have, people don't have to
is it
do
out-
what I say all the time, but I mean like
Is it outside
I'm
the top
just
10 now,
saying.
Ben? I think it might just be. Actually.
It technically is, yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see? Do you need glasses on?
My glasses, yeah.
Get the
don't make
glasses
me-
on.
Don't make me. And then starting off our A tier, we have Dragapult, Lugia, Regidrago, Raging Bolt, and then topping our A tier is Charizard, Pidgeot.
Maybe if of the A's, the Raging Bolt seems quite high.
But I guess the A's tier is kind of like a little bit of.
I don't mind Drago above Bolt.
Yeah, I mean they're interchangeable, but I think that's.
You just made our last 20 minutes irrelevant. It's all interchangeable, guys. Don't forget.
Well,
Tiers and placement.
I mean, within that tier at least.
I'm happy that those are our top 5 decks, though. I think that's
I
fair.
agree.
Do you reckon those would be the top 5 played decks?
Yeah, I'd be pretty confident in
Zard, Drago, what was it?
Bolt,
Lugia, Bolt.
and Dragapult. Yeah, I could see those being the top 5 played.
I agree.
All right. Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe
Let us know.
Palkia or Terrapagos is
Palkia?
also
You actually
is like the
think- I
6th
think-
deck.
I don't think Palkia will be that.
I'm facing
I
Palkia
know.
loads on ladder, bro. It's everywhere.
It's the
Everyone
fun-
likes
it's
it.
the
I think
fun
that's
deck
just
right
because
now,
they're
that's
trying
why.
the Champions League list. I don't
Well,
think
yeah,
it'll be played at
but I mean, it was. Well, yeah.
It's the fun
That
deck
could be
right
the
now
case.
as well, right? I mean, there's
It
always
is a
the
fun
deck
deck.
hype, and then it dies down when
Yeah.
they come
The
to
best
sleep.
part is when your hand's bad, you just scoop and play again, and then you get the combo the next turn. Oh,
And
it
then
feels
game 3 you
amazing.
don't get the combo.
Think of all the
and you've
games.
lost.
Think of all the points.
Think of the game. Think of the ladder.
Think of all the crystals.
Crazy.
Right. Okay.
Right, we're done.
Let's pretty much wrap it up. I mean, let's one last little word from both of you. Most played deck of the tournament and deck that will win. Dortmund, or we'll say either of the tournaments.
Yeah, because there's Joinville as well this weekend.
Yes,
I
correct. Ben, you
think
go
the
first.
most-
No, you
okay.
quiet. You.
Me?
Ben, you first.
I think most played Zard. Winner
Okay.
Zard.
Winner Zard. Joe?
I would also go most played Zard if I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah.
No.
And I'll go winner Reggie Drago V Star.
I'm gonna go Bolt most played.
Yeah.
One of those. Yeah. Just in your
I'm
face.
coming in.
They're really doing damage.
I annoyingly think Lugia will take it.
Oh, you can't.
Sleeve it up, bro.
Can't do
Sleeve
that.
it up.
Sleeve it up.
You can't-
No, not for me
sleeve it
though.
up.
Yeah, but
Stick
for,
with your
for
own-
everyone who's gonna like top 8, there's a guy at the bottom who's like 06.
No, it's like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, where Andette's going, it could be you.
It's like Stranger Things.
That's a national lottery as well. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah,
Stranger Things.
yeah,
What do they call it? The Other World or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a Lugia player in the Other World, and then there's a Lugia player.
this side.
It's yin and yang.
All right.
Brilliant.
Yeah, pretty hefty episode, boys. But I think
So
we'll
many
probably-
decks. Crazy.
So many
Solid
decks.
decks.
So much interesting. This is a start of our EU season, effectively, for the major events. So lots to look forward to. But yeah, we will call it there. Let us know what you guys think as well. Thank you very much for sticking with us, listening to us ramble about nonsense. Benjamin will be keeping track of your Turbo Roaring Moon predictions for next week as well.
Ticker.
But yeah, that's it from us. I've been Alex, it's been Joe, it's been Ben. Thank you very much and catch you later.